The Misadventures of Tron Bonne was an interesting release, coming out just a few months before Mega Man Legends 2 on the Sony PlayStation. It's a prequel spin-off where you play as not the main villain or the sidekick, but the sky pirate Tron Bonne. This title was kind of the beginning of a trend you would start to see in some games where they would make a spin-off based off another character in that series. I like when games do this since it allows for more experimental releases. Starting off with the story, because this game takes place before Legends, no reference is made about Bonne since they haven't met him yet. You start off as Teasel, leader of the Bonnes, in the tutorial section as you get your bearings on the gameplay. You are then confronted by a mysterious figure by the name of Glide, who works for a man named Loathe.
Wait! I can get the money I borrowed from Loathe back real soon! Once this job's over, I'll have your money, honest!
I'm afraid it's too late. The deadline is long past. Give it back.
Turns out in order to fund the Bonnes with all their tech and weaponry, Teasel took out a loan from a shady loan shark and now has to pay it back. You then engage in a battle against Glide that is scripted. Teasel and Bonne end up being kidnapped as ransom, and it's here where the main game begins.
I'm gonna pay this IOU and bring Teasel and Bonne back. Yes, ma'am!
They offer the loan of 1 million zenny to get the two back in any way you can as a pirate. It's here where the game took a step back from the story and lets you go about paying off the loan in any way you want. I was surprised at how similar to Mega Man Legends open you are when it comes to progression here. The Misadventures of Tron Bonne has quite the variety of game modes you can tackle. What's nice too is if you dislike a particular style, you can avoid it altogether, making runs of this game very unique. We'll be tackling each one in order, starting with the bank levels. The gameplay here is very unhinged. You buy up the good stuff as you command your army of Servebots to commit all the war crimes. Blow up houses, explode citizens, no problem here, just do whatever you can to make that money. The controls here are very similar to Mega Man Legends, however you're in a huge tank called the good stuff. You can even move around with the analog sticks, which feels much more smoother compared to the first game. You have a beacon you can attach to certain objects that will command the Servebots. They can do all sorts throughout the game, however in this mode they are mainly used to pillage houses or attack the police that are after you. I love how the original Mega Man is a new universe game in this world, a cute nod. Each level ends in a bank heist which involves a boss fight. It's crazy, but this lone policewoman will start attacking you from your mech and she will actually stand her own. She can even do takedowns, which looks ridiculous in this huge mech. Overall a fun mode and one of my favourites in the game. The areas are surprisingly big for a PlayStation 1 game, and the chaos of managing your Servebots whilst fending against the police really felt like an arcade-like experience as you rack up points or money by looting certain areas. Next is Dig Out, which the game calls an RPG. This mode takes the form of a first-person dungeon crawler. You pilot a more hands-off mech called the Finkel, and you are much more reliant on your Servbot soldiers here. The game is much more slower paced here, having you solve light puzzles and backtracking to find these Aurora stones which you can then sell to pay off more of your debt. I like how you meet other diggers here, which really adds to the whole people looking for refractors from the first game's plotline.
You better be careful. There's more traps from here on.
Some of them have really unique personalities and are constantly trying to one-up each other as you find hidden treasures. It's this mode where the stats and builds of your Servbots really matter since the Finkel itself deals pretty bad damage and has a low health pool. I'll elaborate more later on, but this game has a surprising amount of depth when it comes to which Servbot you take on a mission, from their personality to their stats and hidden skills. I'll quickly gloss over this next mode since it's very similar to Bank with it being in the action genre category. Exploring the ruins is interesting, it's what the game considers a free roam mode. You just explore this ruin, finding treasure and some enemies with it ending in a boss fight. There isn't a subplot here, but I think the developers added this mode to not hardlock the player out of paying off the debt. See, in this game you can buy upgrades for the good stuff as well as healing items. Each mission progresses linearly, so you can't repeat them. I respect this mode in that sense, since if you want to, you can leave and re-enter and everything will reset, allowing you to grind out zenny. I do hate the boss fight at the end of this area though, way too much going on all at once, and the arena you're fighting is way too small.
Miss Tron, we found an
Amogus.
Anyway, before continuing the gameplay section of this video, I would like to address the Pikmin-sized elephant in the room. That's right, this game is extremely similar to Pikmin, the second game in particular. Both games have you start off by paying off this debt in any way you can by finding different treasures. They both have you whistling your companions or relying on them to collect treasures and create a way forward for the player to progress. They even have caves. I'm definitely not just throwing out parallels out of nowhere here. The only big difference are the pilots themselves, and Servebots not being able to die, but only being able to take out a much smaller group compared to 100 Pikmin. I spared this tangent from going on too long, just found it cool. We need a Pikmin-like list to document these kinds of games. Granted, Pikmin didn't invent it, but it is the first thing that comes to most people's minds. You even lose one of your crew members, which happens in Pikmin 2. Also, if you're watching this video as a Pikmin fan, I would definitely recommend the Misadventures of Tron Bonne to scratch that Pikmin itch as we wait who knows how long for the next game. Back on the Gessel shaft, a bunch of facilities open up as you progress through the game. You've got the lab, which is probably where you'll be spending the most time. Here, you can buy healing items or upgrade the good stuff. The storage room allows you to sell your items that you collect on each mission. The gym lets you level up a Servbot strength or intelligence stat, which reminded me a lot of Elden Ring, choosing a stat to best invest in. Anyway, you have to complete these minigames to level up either stat. You have this bomb minigame that gets insanely difficult for strength. For intelligence, there's this food minigame where you have to memorize each order's button combination.
Spaghetti!
From my own mistakes, I'll say you'll definitely want a Servbot leading with high strength for the finale of this game, but I'm getting way too ahead of myself. You can use Tron's rune to assign who is your leader Servbot, and trust me, this will be important for later. You can even go out at night and gamble to pay off your debt as them. Talk to Servbots, give them items, you can even name them.
Nice.
There is a surprising amount to do in the main HUD of this game. I also forgot one last thing you can do. When a Servbot no longer follows orders, you can... Yeah, it's a bit extreme, but this is also a minigame. When certain Servbots no longer follow commands, they'll be given the lazy star. What you have to do then is this minigame to make them go back to normal. Scare them back to their senses and the lazy stat will go away. I didn't want to do this, but the game kinda makes you. Anyway, back to the meat of the game with another style, the puzzle missions. These are absolute brain busters. They start off simple at first. You can only move so many blocks so many times due to a weight limit back to the ship. However, the later missions had me thinking for hours. There's even this GameFAQs guide I found from back in the day stating that if you can do these without a guide, you should be in Harvard University. Yes, they are that difficult. That being said, they are good fun. The music here is also great. Made those long sessions scratching my head less stressful, jamming out to this beat. You steal all sorts of cargo, apples, flour, beef. No one shows up to stop you either. Similar to a lot of moves in this game, this could easily be a standalone title today as a download only game. I'd be down for that. This is easily up there with some of my favourite puzzle games. There's a surprising amount of depth with optional bonus crates to take if you can play completely optimized. Back at the Gessel shaft, and it appears we've paid off our debt. A cutscene plays out and...
If you borrow money, you have to pay interest on it. Let's see. With this much, I need another 2 million zenny.
What? Are you kidding? Do you think you can get away with this? It's crazy!
No, Missy. You're the one who's trying to get away with something. You think I'd just let anyone borrow that much? For free? That's as low a rate as I can give you.
Looks like we'll need to pay interest, and 2 million at that. It's here 2 more minigames are added, one being more of the puzzle mode, adding an additional forklift mechanic where instead of taking blocks back to the ship, you're charting a path for a Servbot to take each cargo instead of doing it yourself. These are even more difficult, and seeing the answers online, I am surprised anyone could get these at all by themselves. It's hard to describe in a video, but they really are just that in depth. The other mission set to be added is Farm, another action based objective. This time instead of stealing from a bank, you steal, well, animals. You have to get your Servbots to carry the animals back to the vehicle. The AI got a little annoying, more in particular for the animals themselves, whilst on missions they would easily get stuck on geometry at times. But I think if you level up more intelligence for the Servbots, the odds of them getting the animals is better. There's also a boss at the end of each mission against this mech that tries to stop you. No unhinged policewoman this time around.
Money. One more decent take and we're gone.
Miss Tron?
Before we get to the finale of the Misadventures of Tron Bonne, there's a few miscellaneous stuff I'd like to mention. A lot of the game from Legends has been improved on. The dub this time around sounds more impressive. I'm also a fan of these sprites they use in the cutscenes. It wouldn't surprise me if these sprites inspired Ace Attorney, which would release in Japan not long after this game. I already commented on the music earlier, but there's a great selection here. The one playing in the background at the minute is my personal favourite. I also just love the whole Sky Pirate thing this game has going on. I wish media in general would have more Sky Pirates in. Maybe it was just the early 2000s, but the aesthetic has always been a joy for me. Hashtag bring back Sky Pirates. I've heard they're in Skies of Arcadia. Maybe I should play that game one day. Carrying on, and once again, spoiler alert, please skip to this timestamp if you would like to avoid spoilers on the final boss. We pay off to 2 million, and it's here where we get duped. Mr. Loaf wanted the Bonnes as slaves to unearth the Mother Lode, which is a relic that becomes much more important in the Legends games. They throw Tron in prison alongside the other members, but Tron has a backup plan involving the Servebots. That's right, whichever one you choose to favour is now playable as you perform a prison break.
Glide?
Miss Tron, up there!
I don't know how you escaped, but here you are all together. One big happy family. Thinking about what to do with you was keeping me awake at night. Now that we've got the Colossus, we don't really need you anymore.
Decked out and upgraded, we stick it to Glide in his mech, but Mr. Loaf isn't going down without a fight. After nearly totaling the Gesellschaft, you engage in one final battle against him as whichever Servbot number you chose. The final battle is alright, similar to all the other fights, you use crowd control to deal with Loaf. Destroy all the energy pylons and the Colossus goes down. You won't have any issues if you upgraded the good stuff and Servbots accordingly before this battle. The villains end up in jail, you are reunited with the gang, roll credits.
Number 27! Miss Tron! You did a great job! I've got something special for you later! Yay!
Interestingly enough, they recorded each individual Servbot number up to 40 here, which is a cool little attention to detail. And that was the Misadventures of Tron Bonne, a really fun, short and sweet experience. Before playing this, I only ever knew about it due to its insane pricing online. But if they ever re-release this title, I would definitely recommend it. There's a surprising amount of depth to the Servbots with guides online explaining way more than I could in this video. It's also highly replayable, given the open nature of the game, you could easily blast through it over a weekend. I definitely wasn't expecting a Pikmin-like experience from a Mega Man spin-off game. Well, 2 down, 1 to go. Please stay tuned to a video on Mega Man Legends 2 whenever that drops. Thanks for watching to the end of this video. There's a few things I'd like to say. One is thanks for the support on the last video. I never realised how passionate the Mega Man Legends fanbase is, especially with how little Capcom has bothered with this series. Another thing I'd like to say is that any feedback on this video would be appreciated. Feel free to comment your experience with this game or any hidden details I might have missed. I'm curious. Thanks for watching and have a nice rest of your day.